Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we're bringing news out of Washington, Sacramento, the Kern County Sheriff's Office, the Ridgecrest Police Department, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyo Kern and China Lake. This is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Thanks for joining us for the news. I'm Tom Wicknick. Here's news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. In news out of Washington concerning the President's deal with Iran, it appears it will be sustained by the Senate. So even though 72% of the people disapprove of the deal, Washington politicians refuse to listen to their constituents and vote on a party line, rather than vote as representatives of the people. A nuclear deal between Iran and 6 world powers that promises to fundamentally alter the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and beyond will not die in the U.S. Congress. On Wednesday, Senator Barbara Mikulski, Democrat from Maryland, announced that she would support the agreement, becoming the 34th member of the Senate to do so. In offering her backing, Mikulski, who is retiring in 2016, assured that President Barack Obama will dodge a Republican-led effort to kill the deal. Although a resolution of disapproval may still pass in the chamber, this is a prime example as to why the people so distrust the Congress and the job they are doing. They refuse to vote as the people's representative and vote in accordance with their party's position. And the entrenched politicians can't understand why the current pool of presidential candidates has anti-establishment candidates at the top of the list. We've received this press release from the Ridgecrest Police Department. Last Thursday, on 8/27 at approximately 6:30 p.m., officers from the Ridgecrest Police Department were dispatched to the 100 block of West Wilson Avenue. The call was regarding a subject who had been stabbed. Upon arrival, it was discovered that the victim had sustained multiple injuries from an unknown sharp object. Medical aid was provided and he was taken to Ridgecrest Regional Hospital. He was later transported to the Antelope Valley Hospital for medical treatment. No arrest has been made at this time. However, the investigation is still ongoing. The police are asking for the public's help in solving this case. If you have any information on this case, please contact Detective Dilly at 760-499-5123 with any information regarding this case. In news from the Kern County Board of Supervisors, it appears they are having some deficit problems brought to light by an audit of the Human Services Department. And it appears it has caused some heated debate among the supervisors. Last Tuesday, the board debated how to deal with approximately $5.3 million deficit in the Human Services Department. The Auditor Control Office determined the department had grossly overestimated revenue coming in. This was brought to the attention of the county supervisors July 21st. However, the supervisors refused to accept the report and referred it back to the auditor for more information. Last Tuesday, the auditor brought back the report with no changes from the July report. The auditor added that the Human Services Department was making some accounting changes, but those changes would need to be checked by the auditor's office in the near future. Auditor-Controller Mary Bedard is individually elected by the voters of Kern County. She expressed concern that the County Administrative Office did not react to the audit as she expected. She accused them of not properly handling the issue prior to the new budget. CAO John Nillen told the board that they have worked with the Human Services Department and have made necessary changes to solve the problem. Supervisor Maggard criticized the auditor for the way she did the audit and accusing the CAO office of not doing their job. Bedard insisted that the auditor should help provide solutions to the county. Maggard insists that would be a conflict as they would later have to do an audit of their own process. This would not be an independent audit. The board asked County Council if they had to accept the auditor's report. County Council advised that the auditor is required by law to submit an audit to the board, but the board does not have to accept it. In the end, County Council said that the auditor's office and the county admin should find a way to work together better. In the end, the Board of Supervisors refused to accept the audit report, commenting that the two offices needed to find a way to work the issues out and solve the problem. The auditor's office and the county administrative office agreed they will continue to try and find a way. In news from the state, the LA Times is reporting a story about California's ending years of litigation, hunger strikes, and contentious debate concerning prisons in California. California agreed to move thousands of state prisoners out of solitary confinement under the terms of a landmark lawsuit settlement. Corrections officials who have long used indefinite isolation to control violent prison gangs will cease the practice and return nearly 2,000 inmates to the general population, according to the agreement announced on Tuesday. Some of those inmates have been in isolation without significant human contact for more than 3 decades. California has been among a shrinking number of states that keeps inmates isolated on the grounds of gang membership rather than behavior, at a time of increasing national criticism over the use of solitary confinement. The settlement between the state and a group of inmates at Pelican Bay State Prison calls for limiting solitary confinement to those who commit serious offenses such as murder, extortion, or assault while in prison. It also calls for the state to create high-security units that nevertheless allow some activity for prisoners who are deemed too dangerous for mainline housing. The settlement agreement is subject to a comment period, hearings, and likely acceptance by U.S. District Judge Claudia Wilken. If she approves, the state will have a year to make the changes. Lawyers for inmates and federal magistrate would then monitor the outcome for 2 years. In July, President Obama told guests at an NAACP convention that long-term isolation was not smart. He asked for a Justice Department investigation of solitary confinement in federal penitentiaries. Stay tuned for news out of Sacramento when we come back. Welcome back. In news from George Runner's office, we have learned that Sacramento legislators believe an excise tax on medical marijuana could make sense. Due to a lack of regulatory structure for medical marijuana, California has become a hotbed for illicit marijuana grows. The spread of these illegal grows has stretched law enforcement thin in many areas of the state. If done correctly, an excise tax on medical marijuana could help address some of these issues. George Runner spoke with Joe Garofoli of the San Francisco Chronicle about the conditions for a possible Republican support for an excise tax. He said, "I believe the cannabis industry and its users should pay to combat marijuana-related crimes, not California taxpayers who don't use marijuana. Any funds collected should be used solely for combating marijuana-related crimes, rather than being redirected to the state's general fund. So a new tax is coming on marijuana." In other news that affects the taxes of rural areas concerning fire protection, the new fire fee lawsuit gets class status on August 7th. The Sacramento County Superior Court issued a ruling granting class status to the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association lawsuit against the California Fire Prevention Fee. This is a case where people living in rural areas are charged an additional tax for fire services because of their remoteness to city fire services. The state maintains it is more expensive to fight fires in rural areas, so the people that choose to live in those areas should pay for those costs. This decision is welcome news to taxpayers. If the court hadn't granted class status, taxpayers might have been required to take legal action individually, an unfair, expensive, and burdensome prospect. When might the court strike down this illegal tax and force the state to issue refunds? No one knows for certain, but here's what's likely to happen next. Once the discovery process concludes, hopefully later this year, Howard Jarvis Association will file a motion asking the court to rule in favor of the fee payers. Should the judge grant the motion, there would be no need for a trial. Trials are usually reserved for cases where factual findings are necessary. Assuming taxpayers prevail, it remains likely that the state will appeal the ruling, perhaps all the way to the Supreme Court. Still, any step forward is good news for rural property owners who continue to be subject to an illegal tax that has done nothing to provide greater fire protection. In news from the Meeting Art Committee, there has been considerable discussion lately behind the scenes that Caltrans was bringing in way too many requirements for the placement of the median art on North Tri Lake Boulevard. The approval process was also looking like a very lengthy process, taking months and months to be approved. And engineering costs that Caltrans would require could make potentially too expensive artwork for local businesses to afford. So city staff has been working with Caltrans to find some reasonable solutions to the new problems surfacing. One major point of consideration has Caltrans requiring civil engineering stamps on the plans. This is to ensure that the art will conform to current building, weather, and earthquake standards. Getting plans drawn up and certified by a civil engineer can be costly, and the construction standards being considered also is driving up the costs. Installation conforming to earthquake building standards will be expensive. All these costs have caused some of the potential donors to consider backing out of their pledge to provide the artwork. However, no current pledge has backed out yet, giving the city time to try and work out the issues with Caltrans. and there is potential for local civil engineers who may donate their services to help reduce the cost. We'll keep you posted as to how this project progresses. In traffic news from the Kern County Sheriff's Office, we get this report. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is currently assisting Kern County Animal Services, the Los Angeles County Department of Animal Care and Control, and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in investigating a possible animal abuse incident which occurred in the Rosamond area. On August 20th at about 12 p.m., a golden retriever was found wandering by an area resident in the intersection of Oakwood Lane and Lyons Drive in Rosamond. The dog had what appeared to be either acid or chemical burns to his back. The person who found the dog transported it to an animal care facility for treatment in Lancaster. During the investigation, it was determined that at least 6 dogs have been found in the last month in the Rosamond and Antelope Valley area with similar type injuries. If anyone has information on any of these cases, they are asked to contact Kern Animal Control Services at 661-868-7100 or Senior Deputy Skidmore at 661-256-9717. It takes a really sick individual to do such a heinous crime against a defenseless dog. Boy, stories like this make me sick. Well, in happier news on local events, the fine folks at the USO building announced the following coming events. Ladies, get out your best hat or create a new one and join the Historical Society of the Upper Mojave Desert for a crazy hat and ladies' tea on Saturday, September 5th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Dine on delightful sandwiches and salads, tea room style. Show off that crazy hat and maybe win a prize at the special 70th anniversary celebration event of the historic USO building. Tickets for this are only $5 per person and are now on sale at the USO building gift shop. Call 760-375-8456 for more information. This event will be right after the parade of 1,000 flags going through Ridgecrest, so this Saturday can be a fun-filled day. And here's another event from the USO. The public is invited to a Human Trafficking Action Summit to be held on Thursday, September 10th at 7 p.m. at the USO building at 230 West Ridgecrest Boulevard. The controversial film documentary, A Traffic Life, will be presented, followed by a question and answer session with the film's director, Michael Fagan, and Karen Stone from the Women's Center, High Desert. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. with the summit beginning at 7 p.m. Now in KZGN's continuous effort to provide news and information you've asked for, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my last report on Monday, gas prices continue a slow decrease. It's interesting to note that just 1 month ago, the lowest local price was $3.69 a gallon. So in 1 month, we have gone down 50 cents a gallon. That's welcome news. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $3.19 to $3.59. Lancaster's going from $3.19 to $3.79. The LA Valley area is $3.27 to $3.55, and the Bishop area is $3.72 to $3.89. We have 3 stations coming in at the $3.19 figure, and 2 stations at the $3.23 amount. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay sales tax out of town, you're helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Now stay tuned for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. Temperatures will once again be above normal, in some cases as much as 15 to 20 degrees. Highs are forecasted to reach into the mid to upper 90s across the Great Plains as well as parts of the southern U.S. and mid-Atlantic. Temperatures across the nation: Carolinas came in at 85, Georgia 88, Arkansas 93, Colorado 84, Arizona at 88, and Los Angeles at 70. For our forecast here in the IWV, tonight mostly clear with a low around 66, southwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday will be sunny with a high near 93, south-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. Thursday night mostly clear with a low around 63, south-southwest wind 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. Friday sunny with a high near 92, south wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 61, west-southwest wind, 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. And on Saturday, will be sunny with a high near 93, southwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 60, west-northwest wind 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. On Sunday, sunny with a high near 95, northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 65, northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And on Labor Day, sunny with a high near 99, northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Record high was set in 1988 at 109 degrees. Record low was set in 2008 at 54. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom and the rest of the KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith. Now let's go to Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Wednesday afternoon to everyone. Just 2 days away from week number 2 of high school football. It'll be Burroughs and Tehachapi Friday night up on the mountain. If you can't make the hour ride over, you can tune in to 12:40 a.m. KLOA will have the game at 7 o'clock, 6:45 for the pregame. JVs will play on Friday also there, and the freshman team will play at home on Thursday. So a lot of football ahead for Burroughs. They have Tehachapi this weekend, and then next 2 weeks they'll be at home before going to Barstow week 5 of the non-league season. Should be an exciting season this year. They played very well in their opener against Palmdale, losing by a score of 14-6, but they were there the whole way. All right, baseball. The Dodgers win again. They beat the Giants 2-1. 2 huge games in a row. They won the night before by 1 run in 14 innings. The Giants came into town 3.5 back. They're 5.5 back now. I think things look very, very good for the Dodgers. Now the Giants on their way, the defending champions, on their way to no playoffs this year. All right, Seattle wins last night. I beg your pardon. They beat Houston 7-5. Now, what's significant about that is the Angels pick up a game on the Astros, and so do the Rangers. So as we start play here in September, boy, it's here already. It is going to be a 6.5 game lead over the Angels for Houston, and a 3 game lead over Texas, who has played very well in August. Okay, St. Louis, they win. They beat Washington. Now, Washington on their way out after a great start. Washington 6.5 games now back of the scrappy New York Mets, who have had a great August themselves. All right, Brandon Moss, a 3-run walk-off home run for St. Louis. Cardinals, the best record in all of baseball. Milwaukee beats Pittsburgh. St. Louis has a 6-game lead over the Pirates now, but the Pirates have the number 1 wild card spot with the Chicago Cubs right behind them. Arizona beats Colorado. They stay alive. Detroit over Kansas City. Toronto beats Cleveland. Now, Cleveland's been playing very well. They've won 8 of 11. They swept the Angels last weekend. The Cleveland Indians, if they would just get on a roll right now, would put themselves right in the thick of the wild card, even though they're under 500. They lost a tough one last night in Toronto. They won game 1 in Toronto. They lost last night in extra innings. Toronto right now, the number 1 team in the American League East. In fact, Toronto has a 1.5 game lead over the Yankees. The Yankees did win yesterday to keep pace. The Yankees have the number 1 spot in the wild card right now if everything stopped today. Tampa Bay all of a sudden playing well. They beat Baltimore. Baltimore, a miserable, miserable month of August. They have dropped out of contention. And the Braves lose again to Miami. The Braves, just a team that I thought would do a lot better. Now 25 games under 500. Boy, tough year for Freddie Gonzalez and crew. All right, quickly, Toronto, a game and a half over New York in the East. Houston 3 over Texas in the West. And the Mets 6.5 over Washington. St. Louis 6 over Pittsburgh in the Central National League. Wild card real quick. Texas 69, the Twins 68, Angels 66. That means win. 69, 68, 66, and Tampa Bay with 65. So you've got 4 teams that are really fighting for the 1 spot, assuming the Yankees or Toronto get the first spot, which if they keep pace right now and just play decent baseball, one of those teams will be a winner of the league and one will be in the wild card. That's your sports for this Wednesday. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of the KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Richmond's only locally owned community TV station. Don't forget, if you're interested in going to the city council meeting, you can leave now and make it for the important stuff. But if you're staying home, please stay with us for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next. And here's a quick video you may enjoy that really tugs at your heart.
Already